Hey y'all, and welcome to another 10-minute Texans talk. I am your host, James Roy. Thanks for watching. Derek Stingley Jr., the best cornerback in the NFL, has now signed a 3-year, $90 million extension with the Texans. Let's walk through that. Probably be a little bit of a shorter show. I just really kind of trying to clear up some of the misconceptions or some of the perceived issues around this deal, make sense of it. We'll probably talk about the Tunsil trade since I feel like it's kind of related. And yeah, let's get into it. The Texans, like I said, 3 years, $90 million, $89 million guaranteed. I'm really curious why they didn't just guarantee the whole contract if they were going to guarantee so much of it. It's a great contract. It resets the cornerback market, and Derek Stingley is deserving of that. He's played to that level. But on paper, it's not really a $30 million per year contract when you think of all the factors around it. So that's really what I want to clear up from what I've seen, just to kind of put out there the understanding of what this contract extension really is. So first question people asked when they saw this, doesn't Derek Stingley still has the 4th year of his rookie contract and then the 5th year option left? Did we pick that up? Yes. It has been reported the Texans picked up the 5th year option. What does that mean? The Texans now have Derek Stingley under contract for the rest of his rookie contract, including the 5th year option. And then after that, there's 3 additional years where he's being paid $30 million APY. So with that, the APY of Derek Stingley through the rest of his duration, of his time with the Texans on paper right now, is like $22 million or something like that per Texans cap. And so that's the way the team views it. The team is not like, oh, we just gave up $30 million per year for Derek Stingley. They're like, oh, for the next 5 years, we have Derek Stingley for about $22 million per year, which is great value for a cornerback of his, level. So that, I think, is where a lot of the confusion lied, because the Texans didn't exactly say, oh, we're picking up Derek's 5th year option, which I think the deadline was like early May to do that. But it was reported afterwards that that's how the contract was worked out. So what does Laremy Tunsil have to do with this, right? And this is where I like bringing it up, because a lot of the national media and non-Texans fans don't seem to understand why the Texans traded away Laremy Tunsil. So here's where it makes sense. The Texans were going to have to pay, over the next 2 to 3 years, C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., they've paid Derek Stingley, who is one of those names, and then Nico Collins will come due for another contract. That $24 million that he's making a year looks really smart. That 3-year deal they signed him to, really smart with what Jamar Chase just did to the wide receiver market. Nico Collins is a top-tier wide receiver, and he's being paid like, I think it's 13th highest in the NFL of any wide receiver. So it's good money. I think T. Higgins is making more than him as a wide receiver too. Like, that is how good that money is, but it will go up. That price, if Nico continues to perform the way he has, will be higher. Will the Texans be able to pay it? Who knows? But if they have LT on the books, they're not going to be able to pay it. They're going to have to start making decisions. And so they made that decision now to move on from LT, get what they could for him now. He's an older left tackle who wants to be paid premium money. Rightfully so. He is a really good pass blocking left tackle, serviceable in run blocking, has a penalty problem, but like overall is it, I would say, an elite left tackle. And so you have to find a team who's willing to pay him that money. And a lot of those factors I just stated kind of limit that pool of teams that are like, we need an elite left tackle and we don't really care how old he is or how much money he wants. We just need someone to protect our quarterback's blind side. So obviously they found that in the Commanders, and they got a return for Tunsil instead of letting Tunsil play out his current contract and then letting him find that next contract on the free agent market with nothing to show for it. So, and I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'm really happy with the move, mainly because as long as the Texans can improve the interior offensive line significantly, it doesn't have to be flawed. They don't have to go and fix the interior offensive line in the offseason. It just has to get significantly better, which is, even with a rookie at one of the starting positions, and I think someone described a 33-year-old vet. Whatever they decide to do between, Juice Scruggs, Jarrett Patterson, Laken Tomlinson, all those guys they signed that were like kind of smaller depth signings, and then whatever they do in the draft, just needs to improve the interior line where it's not Swiss cheese like it was last season. And then the drop-off between Tunsil and Howard will not be significant enough to make that an issue as long as the interior line shows up. So, but to get back to the Derek Stingley deal, 5 years of team control for the Texans of Derek Stingley is huge. Even if he just plays that out and moves on, one, the Texans get 5 years of Derek Stingley, but two, Derek Stingley will be 28 years old when this contract is up. So he will still be in his prime, will still be able to go out on the open market and get a really great deal if he wants to, or if the Texans can pay him, or if he wants to stay in Houston, then that can happen too. If there's one thing you need to know about Nick Caserio, is that he is about give me something and I'll give you something. That's like what a lot of his deals play out to. So in this case, it's like hey, it's similar to the thing he did to Nico Collins. He's like, give me 3 years, I'll give you probably a little less than you wanted, but you'll get 3 years, mostly guaranteed money, and then at the end of it, you'll still be in your prime, so you can still seek out that next big deal. You'll still be commanding, if you perform to the level we think you can, then you'll still be seeking that top tier money. But for now, we're going to pay you. It's still going to be top tier money here, but we'll give you a shorter term so that you have a chance to go on the open market. And, instead of feeling like, oh, well, yeah, I got good money, but like at the end of this contract, what am I going to get? I'll be past my prime, whatever. So, I mean, big benefits for both sides. I think it still kind of leaves the door open to Stingley coming back later down the line. But I mean, honestly, if he keeps playing at the level he does, and depending on how much CJ commands and all that, there's a lot of factors that could be working against the Texans and getting another shot at a Derek Stingley contract. So 5 years of team control of Derek Stingley is great. Him being 28 and leaving the team, I think it's great, and I think that they've done a good job drafting with Kamari Lassiter and shoring up that secondary in a way where in those 5 years, I could imagine that this team will be able to either replace him through the draft as best they can or extend him. So I feel really good about the Derek Stingley contract extension, and I feel like most Texans fans do. I've really only seen one tweet or one person just be like, hey, I know everyone likes this contract, but this actually sucks. And it wasn't like an argument that made any sense. They didn't actually bring any analysis. They just said, I don't like the contract, it's a lot of money. And I can respect someone having a different viewpoint from me, but I'd rather see them express it intelligently. Give me something to work with. That's why I don't like people who don't like the Laramie Tunsil trade, because a lot of the national media is just like, the Texans needed to fix their offensive line, and it got worse because they cut their best offensive lineman. Pray for CJ Stroud. It's such a lazy take. It doesn't really, it's like, yeah, sure, the best offensive lineman was cut. Logically speaking, there will be a drop-off, but you're not factoring for what the Texans' whole offseason is going to be. You're just saying, the Texans' offensive line got worse, CJ Stroud's going to get annihilated. And it's like, dude, give it a couple months. The draft is on the, but I digress. All that to say, I'll probably bring up the Laramie Tunsil trade at any chance I can, because there's a lot of opportunities for the Texans to make that trade look better than some people think it did initially. And one of those is getting, Derek Stingley extended in the way the Texans did. So with that, thanks for listening to this 10-minute Texans talk. I've been James Roy. You can find me at James Roy NFL, wherever you get your social media. Every Monday, Tom and I will be live on the bullpen to bring you top-tier Texans content with your interactive participation if you'd like. So make sure you're tuned in for that. And if you want a nice Texans hoodie, I'm giving one away on my Instagram, so make sure you sign up. I also have my channel for news and giveaways. The goal of this channel, I never want to be the guy who it's not for me to post breaking news per source for my posts, but I like the idea of being the guy in the group chat who is like, hey guys, this happened. So that's kind of the goal. More targeted at people who maybe aren't scrolling every second of the day, that want to stay up to date on the Texans but don't want to be glued to their phone for the entire day. So if you're interested in that, Instagram's the place to find that on my profile at James Roy NFL. And as always, stay classy, Houston, and vamos Texans.